All right, so I'm looking at a 2000 CRV today. I'm still waiting for him to show up. Anyway, I looked at this car. I looked at this car yesterday and made a pretty dumb mistake on my part. And then it was bothering me all night thinking about it. And then I realized what I did at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and felt really stupid. But that's the brakes. So this car got the p0420 low cat efficiency code, and automatically I thought, well, the cat's clogged or whatever, because it's bogging out real bad, barely goes over 40. Idle's fine, no misfires or anything. So he brought it over last night, and we had just got back from dinner, so I was clean and didn't want to get out of the car. So I had him take the O2 sensor out, and we plugged the OTC Gauge in there. And you can get these. These are a good way of testing if you have a clogged exhaust. I know in the old days we used to drill holes and all that stuff, or you could use a vacuum gauge. Anyway, they have these. They've had these out for quite a while, and this is just a big back pressure gauge here. You just screw this part into where the O2 sensor goes, and then they have a steel braided hose, and that goes into there, and then the other end goes into this. And on these here, at idle, you want to have 0. So this needle basically wouldn't move, or would barely move. And then what you do normally is you rev it up, the engine up to 3,000 RPM, and you keep it steady. You don't just stab the throttle. What you want to do is, run your RPMs up to about 3,000, keep it steady. And this really should not, what you're looking at here is the outside numbers on it. So we got 1, 2. The inside is, a different reading. So what you're looking for is the outside numbers here. And what you don't want to see this really go above like 1.5. 2 would be, in my opinion, too much back pressure. So, and normally on a good exhaust, you won't even hit 1. It'll stay pretty low, almost 0, or. So even if you got 1, that's, you may have a problem starting to develop. But anyway, like I said, on most good cars, if you rev it up, the rule of thumb is 1.5 or less is okay. And really, some people say 2 is okay. I think that's too much back pressure. If you have 2, it may not, your car may perform okay, but I think you're starting to develop a problem if you're in the 2-pound range. So, look at this dog. Just walks in the shop again. Anyway, last night, back to my story, I didn't want to get dirty. We just got back from dinner, me and my wife, and so I had him pull the O2 sensor out. We plugged this in, and it said 0, and I thought, well, that's weird. I thought could have swore by the way the car sounds and what he's describing that the cat's clogged. So I had him put the O2 back in, and I took it for a drive, and so sorry about that. Sometimes I want to strangle that dog. Anyway, I took it for a drive, and it was all the signs of a clogged cat. And you would get it up to, like, say you get in a second gear, that goes to third gear and hold out real long because it's struggling to get going. Gets about 4,000 RPM, and it sounded like the compression was actually bleeding out of the spark plugs. It was like like a air escaping noise up by the engine. And I'm like, man, I wonder if maybe it's got some kind of weird intake leak. But I still didn't think any of that because the way it wasn't misfiring, it idled real good. So like a dummy, I came back, I pulled all the plugs out, did a compression check, all 4 cylinders. And the other thing too, this car's got almost 270,000 miles on it. So, I thought, well, maybe it's just losing compression or something. And it's just, bogging out. Well, anyway, it had over 180 pounds on each cylinder, which is great. I mean, they were all even, perfect, pumped up nice. And looked at all the plugs, put those all back in, and I ran the scan tool, and the O2s seem to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. the back O2 actually was real smooth and flatlined, which normally if you have a bad cat, that would be up and down. But I'm just wondering. Anyway, so everything seemed to, the car has no misfires. Oh, we have a fuel gauge too. We hooked up to it, and under load, it had about 40 pounds of pressure, which I didn't look at the spec on the car, but I'm sure that's pretty close to where it's supposed to be. So, I told him, let me think about it. Take the car home, let me think about it. And about 1 o'clock last night, it kept bugging me. I'm like, what's the deal? And then it hit me. I'm pretty sure he took out, which is, it's my fault because I told him just to take the one out, the O2 from behind the cat. So obviously if it's got a clogged cat, you go behind the cat. You're going to have zero on the gauge here. So anyway, it's my mistake, I think. I'm pretty sure we took out the wrong O2 sensor. I take full responsibility for that because I didn't want to get dirty last night and I wasn't using my head. So I called him back. We're going to call him back over here today, and we will pull the bank one, sensor one sensor out and redo that test. And I think what we're going to find almost definitively is that cat is clogged or almost clogged. I got a feeling it's going to be a pretty high number on this gauge here. So anyway, it's Sunday, so I'm going to maybe work on the Silverado a little bit today. I got a short in my dash somewhere. When I turn the lights on, it pops the fuse. It's probably something pretty simple. I'm going to pull that in and look at it and wait for him to come over. And I will catch up with this video once that comes back over here. And we'll put this gauge, we'll take that O2 out and put this gauge in and retest it. And it's unfortunate because those catalytic converters are pretty expensive, but this car's got about, like I said, it's got about 270,000 miles on it. And the good thing is it's got really good compression. It runs good, other than, not having any power. So we know the engine's good at least. And, fuel pressure seems to be good. Everything seems to be good on it. So unfortunately, he's probably going to need a new cat, but at least it's not the engine or something like that. So when he gets back over here, I will catch back up on this video, and we'll kind of go through the process of checking it, and I'll show you what the gauge reads, and we'll find out together if I'm right or not. And it just goes to show, even someone like me makes mistakes. Just had a brain fart and didn't want to get dirty. So anyway, that's what it is, and we'll bring it back today and check it out. Alright, check it idle. So that was at 3,000 RPM, we were over 3. And now at idle, we're under 1. But if he goes to 3, it goes up past 3. Take the 3,000 one more time, kind of hold it. Alright. So you can see there it goes to 3. So that's definitely clogged. So you can shut it off. All you do is just take your front cat out, or your front O2 sensor out, plug that in. This cat has 2 there and 3 back here. Obviously those will break. So that's definitely confirmed. It needs a catalytic converter. It's definitely clogged. Alright, so we pulled the cat off. You can see down in there. It's completely chunked up, falling apart. So it definitely needs a cat. So there you have it. Anyway, this is the gauge we use. So OTC 7215. And like I said before, you want 0 to 1.5. You really, if the exhaust is not clogged at all, you should stay below 1. Most of them will stay almost at 0. So, and this one was at 3, and he had actually drilled a few holes in the cat to try to make it breathe a little bit better. So, I mean, if those holes wouldn't have been there, it might have went even farther than 3. So, it's definitive. It needs a catalytic converter. I went ahead and took all the bolts off for the catalytic converter and drove them out. And so, if he wants to go buy one and get one, he'll be able to replace it himself in a few minutes. So, yep, that's pretty much the video for a 2000 CRV with the p0420 and a clogged catalytic converter. We'll have to get a new converter and put that hoopty back on the road.